Revealed, incredible police dog saves 12-year-old girl from brother's unexpected brutal attack. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an orange glow across the neighborhood, the cozy streets shimmered with the warmth of summer. However, inside the little house at the end of the lane, there was no peace to be found. Emily, just 12, sat tucked in her corner, the echoes of chaos spilling from the other room chilling her to the bone. It was supposed to be a safe place, a fortress of love built by her single mother and her older brother, Jake. But love was starting to crack under the weight of money troubles, and tempers were flaring like wildfires. Every day, the cheerful sounds of the neighborhood faded. Cookie-baking neighbors and lively potlucks couldn't drown out Jake's growing frustration. He wore the weight of the world on his young shoulders, considering himself the man of the house, but all he felt was the suffocating grip of despair. Emily could see him struggling, his once bright demeanor turning dark, shadows lurking behind his eyes. She wished she could reach out and help, but the spaces kept growing wider between them. Then came that horrible night. Emily heard raised voices, her mother's frantic pleas, Jake's frustrated shouts. It felt like a storm cracking open, releasing a torrent of emotions they had kept bottled up for far too long. And then it happened, an explosion of rage that sent a ripple of panic through Emily's heart. She had never seen Jake like this, fury painted across his face like a storm cloud. Tears sprang to her eyes as she felt fear wrapping around her like a cold blanket, but just when hope seemed lost, destiny arrived in the form of Max, the four-legged protector with a nose for bad vibes. Officer Thompson, his handler, had been roaming the neighborhood, showcasing the strength of their bond. Max, sensing the turbulence beneath that roof, bounded toward the commotion. In a flash, he crashed through the door, barking and leaping, altering the course of that fateful night forever. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In a moment of uncontrollable energy, Max acted on instinct. He positioned himself between Emily and Jake, sensing the fragility of the moment. For a second, time froze. Emily watched as Jake's anger faltered, his eyes filled with confusion and pain. With Max growling low, a crack formed in the whirlwind, and the air felt lighter somehow. The whole neighborhood began to buzz with whispers of what had happened. Emily's friends and neighbors rallied around her, leaving behind their daily struggles to lend their ears and hearts. They told their own stories of hardship, their struggles echoing quietly against the walls of Emily's home. Love, warmth, and forgiveness began to stitch shattered bonds, offering a glimmer of hope amidst despair. Yet, within the depths of their family turmoil, the looming question remained: could they truly heal? Could they mend the fabric of their broken lives, or would the weight of their struggles drive them further apart? Emily's heart raced, full of longing for her brother to return to the sibling she adored. As silence returned in the aftermath, the shadows loomed large within the darkened corners of her home, waiting to see what fate awaited a family desperate for redemption. The days following that chaotic night were a blur for Emily. Each morning she awoke with a sense of unease, the memories still fresh in her mind. The warmth of the sun streaming through her window felt almost foreign, making her wish she could cocoon herself under the covers, away from the world. Jake had retreated into himself, as if the anger that had consumed him had drawn a curtain between them. The once joyful banter had been replaced by a heavy silence that filled the house. Emily missed him terribly, the fun-loving brother who had always chased away her fears with goofy faces and silly jokes. Each echoing footstep in the house reminded her of the distance that had grown in his absence. Their mother, still shaken, tried to keep things together. She worked tirelessly to make ends meet, her worry lines deepening as bills piled up. It wasn't just the financial pressures, it was the crack in their family that seemed to mirror their empty fridge. Emily saw her mother's shoulders sag under the weight of it all. And there were nights she caught her mom in the soft glow of the kitchen light, hands trembling as she wiped away tears. Then one evening, a knock at the door altered the mood. Officer Thompson stood there, his presence a reminder of everything that had happened. Max, standing proudly by his side, tail wagging like a metronome, seemed to bring with him a sprinkle of hope. "Can I come in?" Thompson asked gently. He wasn't just a cop with a dog, he was a friend, someone who had stepped into a moment of chaos and made a difference. As he entered, Emily felt a flicker of warmth. Perhaps the weight of her family's turmoil could be lightened, even if just for a moment. She ushered him into the living room, where her mother greeted him with a hesitant smile. "Thank you for coming by," her mother said, her voice a mix of gratitude and exhaustion. Thompson nodded, glancing around the room. "I just wanted to see how everyone's doing." Max really took to the situation that night. Emily instinctively glanced at Max. He sat, tongue out, eyes sparkling, as if sensing the heavy hearts in the room. "Can I take him for a walk?" she blurted out, surprising herself. She needed to feel the warm summer evening against her skin, to escape this house of shadows, even if just for a little while. Thompson raised an eyebrow, amused by the idea. "Sure thing, but I'll join you. It'll be good for both of you." As they stepped outside, Emily felt the tension ease. Max trotted ahead, nose to the ground, excitedly exploring every sound and scent. The fresh air wrapped around her like a comforting hug, pulling her away from her worries, if only temporarily. "Do you think Jake will be all right?" Emily asked as they walked, the question hanging heavy in the twilight. She stared ahead but could feel Officer Thompson's gaze on her. "Sometimes," he began cautiously, "people need time to work through their feelings. It might seem dark now, but with the right support, they can find their way back." Emily nodded, processing his words. It was a sliver of reassurance, just enough to ignite a flicker of hope deep inside her. But that flicker was quickly overshadowed by another thought. What would it take to bring her brother back, not just physically but mentally and emotionally? As they turned down a quieter street, Max paused, ears perked, staring down an alleyway. Something felt wrong. Emily's heart raced as she sensed an unease envelop the atmosphere. "What's wrong with him?" she asked, glancing at Officer Thompson, who wore a focused expression. "We should check it out," he replied, his tone shifting to one of caution. Just then, a loud crash echoed from the back of a nearby building, making Emily jump. It was a sound that felt unsettling, an immediate reminder that they were still surrounded by challenges. As they moved closer, Emily's heart raced, the hope she had begun to feel threatened by the tension that swirled around them. What awaited them in the shadows of that alley? The night was still young, but its darkness was closing in fast. Emily's feet felt heavy as she walked behind Officer Thompson. The sky overhead had darkened, casting long shadows that danced in rhythm with her pounding heart. Max led the way, his nose to the ground, his demeanor alert. The uncertainty prickled at her skin, and as they approached the alley, she fought the urge to turn back. "Stay close," Thompson murmured, his voice steady but laced with an edge of caution. The tension was palpable, creeping into every corner of her mind. Before they reached the mouth of the alley, there it was again, a crash, louder this time. It bounced off the brick walls, making the air feel charged. She exchanged worried glances with Officer Thompson, who remained focused, eyes scanning the dimly lit space. "Max, over here," Thompson commanded, and the dog perked up, ears alert. The excitement in the animal shifted, changing to unease. He took a step back, almost as if he sensed something beyond the normalities of a quiet night. "What do you think it is?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling. "Let us just take a look," Thompson answered, his expression somber yet resolute. "We need to be ready for anything." With cautious steps, they moved forward. A flickering streetlight illuminated the alley, revealing trash cans that lined the walls like sentinels of secrets. As they turned the corner, Emily caught sight of something that made her stomach drop. 3 figures loomed by the back of a building, engaged in a tense struggle. "Hey!" Thompson shouted, his tone commanding, instinct taking over. The figures froze, and the atmosphere shifted immediately, filled with an unsettling mix of fear and adrenaline. The moment stretched, and Emily held her breath. Just then, one of the figures broke free, making a run for it down the other side of the alley. But it was the other 2 who caught her attention. A girl, no older than 12, was pinned against the wall by a bigger kid. Emily's heart sank. "Step back!" Officer Thompson yelled, positioning himself in front of her and Max. The dog stood ready, muscles taut, like a coiled spring. The bigger kid hesitated, eyes darting between Thompson and the girl. Emily's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. Not right now. Wasn't it enough that her brother was struggling? Did the world really have to throw more challenges at them? Then, out of nowhere, the girl made a move. She twisted and broke free, shoving the other kid aside. "Let me go!" she screamed, her voice fierce and full of defiance. Thompson sprang into action. "Stop right there!" he barked, advancing toward the scene. Max jetted forward, his presence pure determination, a protector ready to defend. "Go, Max!" Emily shouted, the instinct to help igniting within her. As if he understood her plea, Max bounded forward, barking fiercely. The commotion escalated, and the older boy stumbled back, clearly caught off guard. "Run!" Emily screamed to the girl, who seemed frozen in shock, but she didn't run. Instead, she stood her ground, faced the threat head-on, and Emily admired her bravery even amidst fear. The confrontation spiraled as Thompson rushed toward the boy, ready to subdue him. Emily reached the girl just as she took a step back, eyes wide, breath quick. "Are you okay?" Emily asked, her voice steady but filled with worry. "I think so," the girl replied, searching Emily's face for reassurance. Just then, a riptide of realization swept over Emily. This girl knew exactly how to fight against her own fears. It was the same kind of strength she had been seeking for Jake, an inner fire to keep going, even when everything felt dark. But while the girl stood bravely, her eyes flashed with something more than fear, a glimmer of unspoken pain that pierced right through Emily's heart. What would she do now? How would they face the night and everything it brought? A shiver raced down her spine as she looked back toward Thompson, who had the boy under control. Then it hit her. Maybe it wasn't just her brother who needed saving. "Stay here," Emily instructed, her mind already racing ahead. Fear was no longer an option for her. As she prepared to confront whatever darkness lay ahead, she wondered if this night would mark the moment she finally began to fight for herself, for Jake, for them all. What if she could help bring him back, not just by being there but by showing him courage through her own? With a new wave of determination surging within her, Emily took a deep breath, ready to step into the unknown, knowing that more than just shadows lurked in the night. Emily felt the adrenaline pulsing through her veins as she took a deep breath, striding closer to the confrontation. The girl's eyes widened with uncertainty, but there was something about her spirit that sparked a flame of hope within Emily. The girl was standing there, not backing down. Maybe they could fight against the fear together. "Hey!" Emily called out, her voice steady, carrying an edge of authority she didn't even know she possessed. "We're here to help you." The girl's gaze flicked between Emily and the scene unfolding just beyond them, a struggle still taking place as Officer Thompson wrestled the boy to the ground. Max circled protectively, barking away the tension. "Just keep backing away," Emily urged the girl gently, feeling an unexplainable connection forming between them. "You don't have to be afraid anymore." "No, I can't," the girl stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Instead of retreating, she took a step forward, confusion wrestling with a determined fire in her eyes. He's my brother." "We were just at that," Emily's heart twisted. The boy on the ground, still struggling, was not just a stranger or a threat. He was someone's family. The weight of the situation settled hard on her chest. She painfully remembered her brother Jake, lost in his own darkness. "Listen," Emily said, lowering her voice, trying to convey the strength of her resolve. "I know this might feel like you're alone. But you're not. Let us get him help, together. You can trust us." Officer Thompson had secured the boy's arms, ready to cuff him. He glanced up at Emily, his brow furrowed with concern, and that look urged her on. "Is he hurt?" she asked softly, courage mingling with compassion. "I don't know," the girl's voice quavered. He didn't mean to. It just her own emotions bubbled to the surface, spilling out alongside the fear. Emily felt her chest tighten. "Sometimes we all get lost, even those we love," she said, feeling the darkness that had enveloped her family echo in the girl's pain. "But we have to fight to bring them back." The girl's gaze softened as she processed Emily's words. "You really think I can help him?" "Yes." Emily nodded, cementing the newfound connection. "Let us get him somewhere safe. You don't have to confront this nightmare by yourself. I promise to be by your side." Just then, a shout pierced the moment. Officer Thompson motioned for them to step back. "We're calling an ambulance," he said forcefully, managing both the captured boy and the growing crowd that had started to gather in the alley. Emily felt a surge of panic flaring up in the pit of her stomach. But what if? She could hardly finish her thought. She couldn't let fear rule her. "No what ifs," Thompson suddenly interjected, his voice steady. "We'll handle it." As sirens blared in the distance, a flicker of something shifted deep within Emily. Hope? Fear? Courage? The girl beside her took a deep breath and straightened her shoulders, mirroring Emily's resolve. "Okay. Let us do this," she declared, her voice stronger, laced with determination, like a flame reigniting after a storm. With renewed urgency, Emily took the girl by the hand. They stood together, two faces rising against shadows, a promise not just made to each other but to those they loved. But just then, the boy being held down shouted, his voice ringing through the night. "You don't understand. I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm trying to save her." Emily's heart raced. This twist sent chills down her spine. What was the truth behind his words? Who were they really fighting against? With a sense of urgency now surging through the alley, Emily realized the battle wasn't just against fear, it was against something much darker. As the sirens grew closer, she caught a flicker of something in the girl's south eyes, the same drive she had seen in Jake when he fought his own demons. What would the truth uncover? Would they find not just a resolution, but a deeper understanding of what it means to protect those we love? As they prepared to confront those unanswered questions together, Emily could only hope they were ready for whatever lay ahead. The night was thick with tension as the piercing wail of the sirens vibrated through the alley. Shadows that had once felt threatening now seemed to pulse with a strange energy, clinging tightly to the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Emily tightened her grip on the girl's hand, feeling the tremor of fear in her small palm. "Just stay close," Emily whispered, her heart racing alongside the approaching sirens. They had to prepare for whatever truth awaited them. Officer Thompson was kneeling near the boy, who continued to struggle against the restraints. "You don't know what's happening. I'm trying to protect her," he shouted again, desperation evident in his voice. The crowd that had gathered muttered among themselves, eyes wide in disbelief, glancing at each other for answers that no one had. Emily felt their gaze like a weight on her shoulders. The girl's brother was trapped between fear and fury, but most importantly, he was just a kid, someone who might be drowning in a situation he didn't know how to navigate. What if what he is saying is true? Emily thought, her mind racing. Can you trust him? Emily carefully redirected her attention to the girl standing beside her. The uncertainty in her eyes layered a deeper worry on her already fragile spirit. What do you know about him? Is he in danger too? The girl bit her lip, a flurry of emotions swirling in her gaze. He's been acting strange lately, she admitted, the weight of her words heavy. I just thought he was mad at me for something. Emily's heart ached for her. What if there's more going on? What if he's trying to save you? Shut up. The boy yelled, his voice raw and filled with anger. You don't get it. I've seen things. You have to believe me, I'm not a monster, I'm trying to warn you. Panic bubbled beneath his frantic words, and Emily felt the shift in the air. The girl blinked, realization dawning like the first light of dawn. He always said he was trying to protect me from something out there. The revelation struck Emily like a bolt. Was it possible? Had this boy been trying to shield his sister from an unseen enemy? Her pulse quickened, the urgency of the moment thickening the air around them. Maybe we can help him, she said, her resolve hardening. But we have to understand what's really happening. She looked at Officer Thompson, who had taken a step back, watching them thoughtfully. You're right to call for backup, officer. But he needs a chance to explain. Time is of the essence, Thompson replied, glancing at the girl. Let him speak. Emily nodded, knowing they were on the brink of a crucial crossroads. They would have to face this fear together, as a united front. The girl's eyes widened as she sought reassurance, and in that moment, the bond between them deepened. Anything is possible if we trust each other, right? Emily urged, pulling the girl close. Right, the girl whispered. It was a small word, but it shined like a beacon in the darkness. The boy, still panting with emotion, watched them closely. If you believe in me, I swear I'll explain everything. I just need. Suddenly, the crunch of gravel under heavy boots interrupted him. 2 additional police officers arrived, stepping into the chaos with authority. At that moment, another wave of urgency surged through Emily. There was so much at stake. How much did they truly understand what was happening? Would they listen, or just dismiss him as a threat? With the stakes rapidly rising, Emily clutched the girl's hand tighter. The air was thick with anticipation as they prepared for the next twist in their journey, realizing they were about to dive into a truth much greater than any of them had anticipated. Would their faith in each other be enough to unravel the mystery that surrounded them? Emily could feel the world shifting underfoot, waiting for the truth to break free. Emily felt her breath hitch in her throat as the newly arrived officers flooded into the scene. The world around her felt like it was freezing, every movement suspended in anticipation. Officer Thompson's expression shifted from wary contemplation to one of urgency as he assessed the situation. Back off. One of the new officers ordered, drawing a barrier between the boy and the gathered crowd. Their shouts blended into a cacophony that echoed down the alley, vibrating through the bricks and rattling Emily's nerves. The girl next to her flinched. What are they going to do? Her voice trembled with fear. Stay close, Emily reassured her, though her own heart was hammering against her chest. She couldn't shake the thought of the boy's desperate plea from her mind. Was he really trying to warn them about something dangerous? But what? The boy was still struggling against the cuffs, his eyes wild. No. You don't understand. I'm trying to keep her safe. His voice broke, panic rising like a tide. They're coming for her. You have to let me protect her. One officer moved closer, trying to calm him down. Son, we need you to cooperate. This will only take a minute. Cooperate? The boy howled, frustration bubbling over. You have no idea what's happening. Emily gauged the tension in the air, feeling the trembling edges of fear seep into her soul. The girl beside her swallowed hard, her trust wavering. What if he is right? What if something is out there? Thompson stepped in, sensing the urgency. Let us hear him out, he said firmly, holding an authoritative stare at the new officers who were edging closer to the boy. Everyone deserves a chance to explain. The boy took a deep breath, trying to control the fear that had taken root in his voice. There's something out there, one of us has changed. You don't see it yet, but I do. I see everything. A fine mist of confusion spread across the crowd's faces. Emily's stomach twisted in knots, questions tumbling in her mind like marbles rolling off a table. What was he talking about? I'm not crazy. The boy added, desperation lacing through his words. I've seen the shadows moving, and it's not safe. A low murmur brewed among the police, uncertainty mixing with disbelief. Emily wanted to shake off the weight of their doubt, knew they needed to pay attention. She turned to the girl. What shadows? What is he talking about? I don't know, the girl stuttered, eyes filled with tears. He mentioned seeing things for weeks now, but I thought he was just. She trailed off, fear flooding her words, rising doubts filled the air, the officers were beginning to lose patience. You need to calm down, kid. One of them yelled. Suddenly, there was a loud bark, cutting through the tension like a knife. A robust police dog, sleek and fierce, burst into the alley, eyes sharp and alert. The dog bounded toward the boy, its stance protective yet unyielding, its noises a mix of growls and encouragement. Emily felt the shift as the dog approached the boy, sensing some sort of connection forming. Maybe he can help, she whispered, hope surging like a fire inside her. The boy met the dog's gaze, and for the first time, Emily saw a glimmer of relief in his wide eyes. Help me, he murmured, the plea barely escaping his lips. That it was then that Emily realized the link, between the boy and the dog, something more grounded than just panic. They had a shared purpose. The crowd drew closer to the edge of the unfolding scene. What do we do now? Emily asked, turning back to the girl, the tension hung like a thick fog. We have to trust him, the girl replied with a newfound glimmer of resolve. And the dog, maybe they know something we don't. As the officers struggled to rein in the chaos, Emily sensed this was just the beginning. The truth was there, lurking just out of reach, obscured by their own fears, but how far were they willing to go to uncover it? And when would they confront the shadows that seemed to whisper from just beyond sight? The world felt poised for a revelation, and Emily was ready to face it, whatever it was. The air crackled with tension as the police dog, focused and ready, continued to circle the boy. Emily felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her, as if the entire alley held its breath. Something was shifting inside her, like a flicker of light breaking through darkness. Listen to him. She shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. The crowd turned, eyes wide, a mix of fear and curiosity. He's trying to protect someone. Officer Thompson took a step back, glancing at the new arrivals with uncertainty. What do you see? He asked the boy, trying to unlock the fears twisting around them all. I see shadows moving, the boy said, voice steadied by desperation. They hide among us, lurking, waiting to strike. One of us has changed, and I can feel it. Emily's heart raced with each word. She felt cold sweat appearing at her temples. The shadows felt real now, more than just a random notion. The crowd's whispers grew louder, each person processing the boy's plea in their own way. Officer Thompson took a deep breath. Can you point out this person? Who has changed? The boy's eyes darted across the gathering, studying faces, scrutinizing. The young girl next to Emily clutched her arm, squeezing hard enough to leave marks. What if he's right? She whispered, eyes wide. Don't think about that now, Emily whispered back, needing to shield a flicker of dread in her own heart. They needed clarity, not fear to spread like wildfire. Before anyone could respond, the police dog growled, low and dangerous, suddenly on edge. Its nose quivered in the air, honed in on a specific person. A sudden rush of adrenaline pulsed through Emily as her eyes followed the dog. It moved, circling around a man standing slightly apart from the others, his gaze darting nervously from side to side. Why is he here? Emily thought, an uneasy knot forming in her stomach. The boy's focus shifted. That's him. He shouted, pointing a trembling finger. It's him. He's not one of them. Gasps erupted from the crowd. The man's face changed, going pale, as if the truth was crashing down around him. No, you don't understand. He stammered, raising his hands in defense. I haven't done anything. That's what they always say, the boy shot back, rage and fear intermingling in his tone. He struggled against the cuffs, but the urgency in his voice told everyone this was not just a game. Emily felt a shiver of both fear and determination. What if he's really in danger? She thought. What if someone gets hurt? The officers moved cautiously toward the man, their hands hovering near their holsters. The police dog continued its growls and barks, unwilling to back down. Stop! Thompson called out. We need to assess this carefully. But the boy had already embraced his fate. The boy's expression twisted in resolve. I can show you, he pleaded, desperation thickening the atmosphere. I can help you find the truth before it's too late. Emily's gaze flickered between the boy and the dog. In that moment, she realized they were more than just scared kids. They were a team, fighting against an invisible force that threatened to pull them all under. We have to believe him, she thought fiercely. As doubts warred with hope, a weighty silence hung in the air. Were they ready to face whatever was lurking in the shadows? The stakes felt staggering, overshadowing the so-called order and safety that the officers had initially promised. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted when a loud roar echoed from deeper in the alley, shaking everyone to their core. The fear that had felt almost abstract now crystallized into something concrete. Whatever's out there, it's coming, Emily whispered to the girl beside her, fear scraping at her thoughts. What had they unleashed by confronting the shadows? And would they find the truth before it was too late? The boy's assertion lit a fire of panic that spread through the crowd, more intense than the adrenaline coursing through Emily's veins. She could almost feel the impending threat creeping ever closer. The sound of the roar still echoed, reverberating off the alley walls, and it felt like the night itself had come alive with danger. Everyone, back up! Officer Thompson's voice boomed as he instinctively raised his hand, seeking to restore some semblance of order. But fear fed on fear, and it was hard not to feel it intensifying around them. What did you see? He turned sharply to the boy again, his eyes narrowing with a mix of urgency and inquiry. I can sense the darkness. It's right there. The boy pointed again at the man, his whole body trembling with emotion. It was like the boy was a lighthouse, desperately trying to guide them away from disaster. But did they really want to head straight into the storm? The man started backing away, hands in the air. You don't have to do this. His voice quivered, laden with panic. The officers stepped in closer, tension straining between them. Emily could feel the collective breath of the crowd, a shared inhalation of terror. Why are you running? The boy shouted, and his voice was hoarse now, filled with a grief that made Emily's heart ache. If you aren't one of them, stand still. Prove it. But the man couldn't hold his ground. He stumbled back into a pile of crates, sending them tumbling over, the sound crashing echoed like thunder. The police dog lunged forward, teeth bared, ready. The air thickened as it approached, hunting down the suspect with an intensity that felt primal. No. Please. The man cried out, pure fear breaking through his defenses. I didn't do anything to anyone. But what could they trust? The boy's certainty clashed against this man's pleas, and Emily felt torn. It was an emotional seesaw, making her stomach churn. Officer Thompson held his position, all eyes on him, seconds ticked by like hours. The tension crackled in the air, and a flicker of movement cut through Emily's thoughts. Shadowy figures slipped deeper into the shadows of the alley, shifting just beyond the reach of light. A trap. Emily thought suddenly, choking on her breath. They're using him as a decoy. There. She shouted, pointing into the darkness. There's something else. It's not him, it's in the shadows. The crowd gasped again, heads turning. For a heartbeat, it felt like they were all watching from the same cliff, teetering on the edge of truth and lie. Listen. The boy cried. You have to believe me. If we don't act now, we could lose everyone. Emily felt a surge of courage wash over her, a collective strength building in the pit of her stomach. She stepped forward, her heart racing. Whatever is out there, we can't let it win. We need to work together. She's right. The girl beside her echoed, her voice trembling but resolute. This is more than just a fight. It's about us. We have to face it together. Officer Thompson hesitated, glancing back and forth between the boy, the man, and the encroaching darkness of the alley. The dog remained poised, powerful. In that instant, he seemed to gauge the weight of their world, their fears hanging like thread on a single choice. All right, Thompson finally said, voice strong, we do this together. But we're on strict alert, no surprises. Emily could feel the energy shift subtly, as if they had taken the first step toward unveiling the truth hidden behind the shadows. But equally, she sensed their path forward was still fraught with peril. Suddenly, a blood-curdling growl erupted from the shadows, loud enough to drown out all thoughts. It was more feral, more menacing, and the crowd collectively shuddered. Get ready! Someone shouted, panic peppering their voice. But before Emily could open her mouth to respond, she saw a figure dart through the darkness, a scout, perhaps, a messenger of something worse waiting in the wings. Were they truly prepared for what was about to emerge? A bitter taste coated her mouth, and for every step they were willing to take, the shadows grew restless. Don't let it take anyone else. Emily yelled, fear propelling her forward. But just as she took a step into the abyss, something caught her eye that made her heart pound in disbelief. Look! She cried, eyes wide in shock. It's not just our enemies. It's something they've brought from beyond. What had they truly awakened? And would they find the strength to face the upheaval that threatened everything they held dear? In the heavy silence that followed Emily's shout, the air felt charged with an unseen energy. The shadows at the far end of the alley shifted again, as if beckoned by her realization. Her heart raced, and adrenaline spiked through her veins. What do you mean, something they've brought from beyond? Officer Thompson asked, brows furrowed as he scanned the darkness. His voice was steady, but Emily could hear the tension lurking beneath it. There was no time to waste explaining further. The growling sound deepened and morphed, an almost mocking echo of her words. The crowd was on edge, shifting uneasily, their eyes like wide plates of fear. Just then, the figure darted into the light, a girl, no older than 12. Her clothes were tattered, and dirt streaked her cheeks, but it was the wild look in her eyes that sent shivers down Emily's spine. As she stumbled forward, breathless and wide-eyed, it was clear she was running from something or someone. Help! She gasped, collapsing near Emily's feet. They're coming for me. You have to stop them. The crowd drew back, whispers of fear rippling through them like a wave. Emily knelt beside the girl, heart soaring at her vulnerability. Who is coming? They're not like us. They've taken everyone. The girl stammered, fear fracturing her voice. They're hiding in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. A chill ran through the throng of spectators. Emily felt the urgency in her bones. They couldn't stand idly by. We need to protect her and everyone else. I'll shield her, Thompson said, stepping forward, resolute. He motioned to the other officers. We form a line. Keep an eye on the shadows. No one gets through. The crowd collectively held their breaths, tension tightening like a band around their chests. Emily glanced back at the boy. You sensed it, didn't you? The shadows. The boy nodded, his face pale but determined. They're calling to something. The girl is right. They're preparing an attack. Suddenly, without warning, a dark shape rushed out from the shadows. A grotesque figure, taller than a man, with elongated limbs and glowing eyes. It moved with a fluidity that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. "Run!" Thompson shouted, his voice a commanding roar. The crowd erupted into chaos as people scrambled, shouting and pushing through each other to escape. The dark figure paused, its eyes locking onto the girl, who shrank back in fear. "No!" Emily shouted, urgency raising her tone. "We won't let it take her." The line of officers stayed firm, but Emily could sense their fear creeping through like vines. She turned back to the girl, who was now sobbing softly, helpless against the terror that loomed. "Hold on tight," Emily urged, determination flooding her spirit. "If we stand together, we can fight." More growls echoed around them. They were not alone. A chorus of shadows emerged, slowly filling the alley. Emily felt the temperature drop as more figures seemed to emerge, drawn by their fear. Is this really how it ends? Emily thought desperately. A girl's cry, everyone's fear, would it all go unanswered? Then, without thinking, Emily grabbed the girl's hand, squeezing it tight. She looked at the crowd, searching for familiar faces, anyone who might draw strength alongside her. "We need to push back now." The moment hung in the air, breath caught between the unseen danger and Emily's fierce resolve. Did courage lie in her alone, or could it spread like wildfire through the crowd? The growling grew louder, reverberating through her bones. Emily could feel the intensity rising, a fury brewing within her that demanded to be unleashed. "Together!" she cried out, willing the crowd to respond. Just as the darkness closed in around them, a sudden flash of movement caught her eye. Something was unfurling in the shadows, a pair of monstrous wings. What was coming for them, and would they discover the strength to uncover the truth hidden underneath all the terror? The shadows were edging ever closer, and Emily realized they needed to fight before it was too late. The alley was alive with chaos. Sirens howled in the distance, mingling with cries and the ominous growls from the shadows. Emily's heart raced as she stood there, clutching the girl's hand. "We can't let fear consume us," she shouted, voice trembling but fierce. "Together!" echoed back from the crowd, a collective rallying cry that fueled her spirit. Emily looked into the fearful faces around her, searching for courage. The girl beside her nodded, determination washing away the tears that streaked her dirt-stained cheeks. Officer Thompson stood tall, unwavering, his voice commanding. "Hold your ground. Stay behind me." He faced the darkness with unwavering resolve. The other officers followed suit, forming a protective barrier, shields of courage amidst sleek shadows waiting to strike. "Take a breath," Emily called, urging those around her. "We push back together." She felt the surge of camaraderie ignite in the air, a rising tide of collective strength swelling within them. Fear has no power here. Around them, murmurs of agreement grew louder. "No more running. No more hiding." Shouts erupted, echoing against the brick walls of the alley. Just as three more figures emerged from the shadows, something shifted. They were taller, creatures born from darkness, their movements unsettling, like liquid night. But then, they hesitated. The police dog, Max, lunged forward, cutting through the tension as he barked fiercely. "Let him do his thing," Emily yelled, watching as Max's powerful stance radiated bravery. Suddenly, Emily felt that shared connection, the dog and the boy, the unseen battles they fought together. "Max knows." The realization struck Emily like lightning. "He believes." She turned to the girl, heart thumping. "We need to believe too." Officer Thompson commanded, "Don't engage unless they attack. Stand together." Each officer braced themselves, eyes locked on the advancing figures. "Help each other. Fight the shadows," Emily shouted, emboldened. She saw the energy ripple through the crowd, a sea of hearts synchronizing in their resolve. Then, as if roused by their courage, the figures surged forward, revealing their true shapes: fearful children, young and lost, faces twisted by confusion and despair. The collective gasp from the crowd echoed off the alley walls, shock rippling through them at the sight of the lost souls. "They're just like us," Emily gasped, her heart breaking. "They're trapped in a cycle of fear." The boy from the beginning stepped forward, no longer struggling. "You don't need to fight," he called urgently, voice filled with solemn understanding. "You can help them." Emily locked eyes with him, the threads of fate weaving them all together. "You're right. We don't have to be afraid." She felt the realization blooming bright within her. As the crowd murmured in confusion, Emily stepped forward, heart pounding as she approached the shadows. "We can help you find your way back," she shouted, voice strong. "We're not your enemies. We want to understand." The shadows flickered, uncertainty spreading among them. Emily glanced back at the girl, their hands still linked. With one nod, they took a step forward, stepping into the abyss that had held them prisoner for too long. "What if we hold hands?" the girl suggested, hope shimmering in her voice. It was a simple idea that felt like a lifeline. Together, like an unbreakable chain. "Let us make a circle," Emily exclaimed, turning back to the crowd. "Hold hands. Show them we're a community." As the crowd moved, forming a ring of strength, all eyes focused on the twisting forms lingering in the shadows. Emily felt a warmth spreading through her, a collective heartbeat, throbbing with love, healing, and unity. Officer Thompson shouted, "All right, on my count let us disperse this darkness as one." "Together." Emily shouted once more, her voice lifting high above the chaos. 1, 2, 3. As they released their fears into the night, light surged forward in an explosion of hope, peppered with the glow of their unity. Emily felt tears prick her eyes, not of fear this time, but of overwhelming joy. The shadows, confronted with this wave of compassion, began to fade, revealing the lost children ensnared in darkness. They stepped forward, tentative but hopeful. "We're not alone anymore," the boy whispered, and the crowd echoed his sentiments. Through the embrace of hope and strength, they emerged victorious, transforming fear into understanding. The bond forged in that alley, beneath the dim light, resonated with the power of families uniting to reclaim their lives, their love transforming shadows into light. As the last threads of darkness dissolved, laughter and relief echoed through the air, weaving a new narrative of resilience and hope. "Let this be the start," Emily thought, heart swelling. "The beginning of healing for everyone." Under the vast, starry sky, a renewed sense of purpose ignited in Emily's chest. Though the journey had only just begun, she felt the warmth of friendship surrounding her, knowing they would face whatever arose ahead together. Now is the time to support this channel. You need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss more exclusive stories of courage and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others discover these powerful narratives. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, we want to hear from you. And share this video instantly with 5 friends who need to see this incredible journey towards hope and unity. Don't wait not even one more second. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of coming together and lifting each other up through these actions.